Hello, hello, hello. I'm making a hot video in the sense of heat. So, not necessarily in the other sense. So, as you can see, I am fat. Okay, so, but anyway, yes, I feel self conscious, but today I can only wear a bra and an underpants, a legged underpants, but that's no socks, and I have my croc shoes on. I even have to take my feet out of the croc shoes. It's so hot. It's over 80 degrees, so which is kind of rare here for this area, and we're not used to this. So this is hot. And the baby dog took a shower. Paul gave him a shower, and that felt so good. And I am tired because I don't even know if I got enough sleep because I was so overheated. And that's good that the bedroom is facing into the forest because there is more moisture coming through the window from the forest side. And it's darker and it kind of keeps the temperature more stable, which is nice. So in this living room, it's facing the garden and much more sunlight, and it's beautiful. You can see the rhododendron, flowers, but then it gets hotter when on a day like this where it gets like really, really hot. And it's nice. I like it because I prefer hot to cold anytime. So I'd rather have it too hot than too cold. So that's my choice, always. It always is. My hands are sweaty. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I did a foot bath. I'm gonna probably do another foot bath outside. Okay, but it is good. I like it. It's very, very nice. And the baby dog likes it hot. He has really, really short coat, like a millimeter short coat, almost naked. So for him, this is nice. He likes that. Would be nice to have a large swimming pool to go into. Doesn't even need to be heated. Would be awesome to have that, but we don't have it. But that's okay. I have my Dollar Tree foot bath trays to dip my feet into it. And that's okay too. So I have to change the water for the foot bath and for his drinking water because we were at the other house for a couple of weeks and it doesn't take very long until mosquito larvae build up in the water pool, in stagnant water, any stagnant water. So you have to change the water. The dog water frequently, like once a week would be good. I do it at the other house and I do it here. So, but then we leave here and we come back like 3 weeks later, and then there's already mosquito larvae growing in there. And I see that and I go, no, 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 no. I'm gonna have to tip the water container over. And I say sorry about this, but yeah, because they are also babies. But no, I can't have mosquitoes bombarding us with fighter jets. Yeah, so no, it's not gonna work. But that's very, very uncomfortable. Last night we came back to this house and I was lying down on the grass in front of Kenny's and Papa's grave. And baby dog was there with me walking around, and he was really happy to be back here because he loves this beautiful Garden Eden. And I was lying on my back and I was looking into the sky, into the night sky in the dark. and it looked so beautiful. And I prayed to the blue God for all living beings, as I always do. And after a while, the fighter jets were coming, the mosquitoes, with the high-pitched sound. And I thought, now it's time for me to get up and get back into the house. And then I got in the house, and suddenly there are a whole lot of white, little, very skinny white moths in here. I don't know where they're coming from. I have no idea. But yeah, we're always dealing with something like that. Even though we have a mosquito screen curtain at that door, that is the only door we have open all the time. And mosquito screen curtain that has magnets that closes after you go through. But it tears very easily. It's not made to last because they want you to buy another mosquito screen. That's why. Okay. That's why things are not built to last. Most things. Because of corruption. And that's very obvious, very unfortunate, but it's true. Okay. So Tesla and SpaceX are the only corporations that are run by a compassionate person who makes things to last. And that's why he has so much success. That's why people buy his products. Okay, so if I ever see someone on the internet that says, yeah, I have a Tesla, good product, but yeah, grudgingly, I don't like the guy. When I see something like this, I'm like, I just want to block that person right away. I actually don't even want to talk to that person. I don't even want that person to get a comment. I just want to ignore that person. Because everyone should just ignore a person like that. Because that is so stupid to make a comment like that. You enjoy his products, but you don't like the guy. Why do you not like the guy? I tell you why you don't like the guy. Because you're told not to like the guy. Right? That's all. That's the whole story behind it. Okay? That's all there is. That's all it is all about. It is hate propaganda against the best person in the world. Why? Because the string holders of the other corporations see him as a competition and as also as someone that might look over their shoulders, as someone that is towering way over them, and they don't know what his next move is going to be with AI and so on. Maybe his AIs will look over the string holder's shoulders, right? And guess what? Those are the people that are the most afraid of AI taking over. The people that are afraid that someone could look over their shoulders. Why are they afraid that someone could look over their shoulders? Because they're doing criminal acts. They're corrupt. Right. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. They are criminal and corrupt. So they're afraid that someone might look over their shoulders. Okay? And Sam Altman. Total criminal, the worst of all, probably. But also Anthony Fauci and that entire family of mafia and the Rothschild family, the Rockefellers, they're all afraid that someone might look over their shoulders. And they eyeball Elon Musk with dread because they see he is not only a mega genius, he is also compassionate. And he cares deeply about the world, about the animals, about children, about women, about all beings, about justice, about world peace. Okay? He makes stellar products for an incredibly affordable price, which Jeff Bezos would never do. Jeff Bezos, if he had a product like that, he would charge more than a Rolls Royce and Jaguar and any race car there is out there. Way more. Jeff Bezos would actually charge $1 million if he had a product like that. That's the truth. Like, think about this, okay? Just really look at the facts here. So, but Jeff Bezos doesn't have a product like that, and any product he creates is overinflated in price. Why? Because he doesn't care about you and you're struggling with your budget. He just goes by, if he can get more money, he will get more money. That's all he's interested in. While Elon Musk thinks about your budget, he thinks about your wellness. And then people go after him like this because they have been told to go after him. And I have absolutely no respect for people like that. Sorry. I cannot respect anyone like this. I don't even want to get to know someone like this. Someone who talks like this. So there's no way I can respect them. That's just stupid. I mean, that's just so stupid. No, I'm not. No, I'm not talking about you. You're not stupid. You're compassionate. Okay. Oh man, always afraid. So now I got issues with Paul, but that's not the issues I have with Paul. Okay, so Paul is highly intelligent. Okay, he's a little bamboozled sometimes because he's older, but he's old. And he's angry a lot. That's an issue that's a real serious issue I have. But he is compassionate, and he's highly intelligent, and he is eating a bag of Fritos right now. And he washed the baby dog. Now he's really exhausted. That took all the energy. So, and I don't know how we're gonna get this house ready, but we're gonna have to get the house ready this time around, because I'm not gonna wait any longer. But we're both completely on the same page in terms of buying land in the desert and getting hot springs and getting a commercial greenhouse. So we already agreed on the type of greenhouse we're going to get. That was not easy because I had a different opinion on it, but then I looked at the pros and cons of like the soft cover greenhouse. Now I see that that's actually superior to the hard panel greenhouse that just has some corrugated plastic that falls out. We have tried this. Upstairs, I had a little greenhouse on the balcony upstairs. It was like a sunroom type of situation. A greenhouse that gets attached onto a balcony door. And the first storm, I warned Paul about this because I saw it coming. The first storm took it all down. All these corrugated hard plastic windows flew out. Stuff fell down from the top floor onto the parking lot, shattered into pieces. The iron frame got bent, also fell apart. And it was just a pain in the neck, the whole thing. So I don't recommend it at all. If you want to build a sunroom that attaches onto your balcony door, then you have to dive deeper into your bank account for that, because so you have to really get a higher quality and a much sturdier plastic panel, that like molded plastic panel that's not corrugated, that is just thick plastic that is installed into it. So and those cost much more, and Paul didn't want to spend the money. So we spent a lot of time fixing this, putting it back together. It's just so much time spent on ridiculous stuff, you know. So that's why I'm against working 10 times harder than you have to by nature, you know. Then what the situation actually requires. So we have to think about what the situation is, what we want to achieve, okay, how much money we have to spend, and then we have to think this all through. And we have to think outside of the box and not be pressured by high pressure salespeople or by some commercial that says now or never, you need to buy gold coins or else, and those kind of sales pressure type of things. Doomsday sales pressure people, they are very quick to tell you either invest into gold bars or you're gonna go down and under. Okay, so that is how they talk. Okay, you either get now a year's supply of whatever, like beef jerky or something. It's like, no, no, thank you. I'd rather eat leaves from the tree all year round and become really thin and really skinny, and all my skin would like droop down, and I'm like this previously fat, now flabby ghost, and I'm just eating leaves all the time. It doesn't taste good. I eat 4 leaves per day, and it's gonna be really, 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 really difficult. I would do that anytime rather than eating beef jerky or beef meat, beef flesh, cannibalized, suffered animals. So anytime. So I do not eat beef. I do not eat pork. I don't want to eat chicken. Sometimes he sneaks something in, and then I go like, oh, I didn't want to eat it, but then I end up eating it, which is bad. So I can't really say I'm a vegan. I'm trying to be a vegan. So I'm really trying to be a vegan. Helga Tagreiter talked me out of drinking milk. I told her, yeah, I'm just not. That was many years ago. That was 2010. I talked to her on Skype, and I was so happy that she would take the time to talk to me for 2 hours. And we ended up giving each other some good advice. So she talked me out of milk. She said, don't even drink a little bit. Don't even use that to color your tea or your Pero coffee, because it comes from extreme suffering, from extreme exploitation. They tear the babies away from the mothers. And I said, Helga, thanks for telling me about all of this. There's no way I can continue to do this. And I thanked her wholeheartedly for all of her work. Okay, she's an amazing person. And I told her about the Humane Farming Association. She was just about to donate money to them. I said, do not donate money to the Humane, in quotation marks, Farming Association, because they're not humane and they are not animane. I would rather use that word. They're not ethical, they are highly corrupt, and they are greed-based, and they are profit maximization based. It is shocking to see that, but that's what it is. The wrong people got in. That's what happens to all of these initially well-meaning organizations that are, in the beginning, they're well-meaning. The string holders wait that out also, because they want them to get momentum. while they're still well-meaning, because then the government, or then some people will donate, right? Then they have gained momentum. Now they have respect and trust. That's when the string holders come in, kick the good person out, put themselves in like a parasitic entity. It's really that's really like a virus, actually. And then they run that non-profit organization like a corporation. Okay, that's what they do, which is 100% profit driven, with only one thing, with only one goal: profit maximization, and doing the least amount of work, putting in the least amount of effort to still keep the people that have faith in them coming and donating money to them. So sometimes they probably even lie about what they do. And they would never tell you. That's why I was very surprised when the lady from the Humane Farming Association in 2010 wrote me an email back after I wrote to them, and I said, we need your help, asking the Lions Den, asking Dante's Inferno itself, right, to help end the Inferno. Oh, I didn't know better. I was in the dark, I was confused. I said, we need your help. Humane Farming Association, the animals depend on you, okay? So I thought this is where you go when you report something, or when you say, yeah, this group there, this particular farm over there, I'm not going to mention names, see what they're doing. They're tearing babies away from the mothers. They're putting baby cows into these igloo cages to keep them isolated. This is so unbelievably cruel, okay? Unbelievably cruel. I've seen it. I went to that farm. I looked at everything. And I go and ask for help. And what does that lady respond? What does she say? She says, oh, well, keeping the babies with the mother, that would not be profitable. It's like, whoa, what if I'm a lawyer? What if I was a lawyer? Maybe she could just tell I'm just some pushover pawn, right? What if I'm an animal rights lawyer? Now I have something on her. I have it black on white in email form, okay? She admitted it, straight out admitted it, that the Humane Farming Association is only interested in profit, okay? When the farms profit on cost of the animals, they're probably giving the Humane Farming Association a kickback. So that's how they function. It's all based on financial incentives, and it's so sad to see, the one person, same happened to Wayne Pacelle, the one good person, Wayne Pacelle, that was running the Humane Society of the United States, and under his ward, things were running very smoothly and well. The animals were helped, okay? Things got better laws were installed, but that doesn't take very long, The stringholders waited it out, just like a virus or some kind of parasitic worm, okay? They waited it out until they got a momentum of a lot of support. Then they sent their own middleman in to turn everyone against Wayne Pacelle, also bribed people probably. That also happened to Paul Watson and many other people. And all these good people, they would be snipped out of their own organization and be replaced by a stringholder middleman who will then run it like a profit-based cooperation. I'm not lying to you. This is what's happening. I looked into all of this very, very closely. I saw it also locally. And Paul already saw that long before I saw it, because he's not naive. He was never naive. When I met him, and he's very psychic. He doesn't even realize how psychic he is. We always do the face recognition tests on each other. He does it, and I'm already dreading what kind of face he's showing me. I already know that ahead of time. Another psychopath. That's easy, because he doesn't show me anyone else. So, but I test him. I do control tests. I show the psychopaths, and I show kind-hearted people, and I show all kinds of people from all walks of life. I show what he calls flying saucer people. And I want to know if he recognizes that right up front, and he always does. It never fails. He always sees it right up front. So I show them a face. Sometimes he needs to see the motion of the video a little bit longer in order to come to an evaluation. But pretty soon he will say, when someone is fat, that's a fat meat eater. That guy doesn't care at all, which is usually always true. Okay, so you don't even need to look any further. You already see that guy weighs 400 pounds. Don't need to look any further for that. So, and these 400-pound people do not like Paul. When he goes to Burger King and there's a 400-pound man working behind the counter, it doesn't matter where it is. Paul will be mistreated in a real hefty way, to the point where they even drop the money in front of his feet and stuff like that, because they can see. They can see that the disapproval in Paul's facial features, okay, in his facial movements. They can see it. They're intuitive too. They don't even know it either. Most people are intuitive. Most people are so intuitive that they don't even know how intuitive they actually are. I think most people are psychic and they don't even know they are. This psychic intuition happens on a very unconscious level with most people. People say, oh, I don't like him. I don't know why, but, the psychopath doesn't like the good person because they feel judged by the good person. The fat man doesn't like the skinny guy with the long beard because that they think, oh, that's a hippie, and they feel judged by hippies, by old hippies. So, that's always this right versus left dichotomy that is going on in the world, which is very annoying to me. So Paul is not right-wing. When I first met him, I thought he was a right-wing extremist. Just from looking at him, I thought, my intuition told me that this guy is very rigid and very right-wing. And then I see, he is very right-wing in some areas, and then suddenly, in other areas, he is very left-wing. So right versus left, it's just a war front. It is a division in society that was artificially created by the string holders to get people to buy certain products. Even they count on the right-wingers to buy a whole lot of guns and machine guns for the upcoming Armageddon. You either arm yourself or else, right? It's all propaganda, all of that, okay? The Buddhists, if you ask a Buddhist, he will say, make peace in times of war. Okay, that should be written down on a large piece of paper and hung on the wall. But the right winger will say, "Oh, that's just liberal bullshit." They don't even look at it any further. They're just extreme this direction, and then the other is usually extreme the other direction. Like, yeah, we all be buddies. Yes, give him another chance and another chance and another chance, and just yeah, it's good, and let them all out so they can rape another old lady or teenage girl. So, no, I think it's time that we start thinking in terms of compassion instead of in terms of political parties. Okay? It's really time for that. It really is. It really is. So this is that's a very important message for everybody out there. So don't look at your people, your party, your identification anymore. Look at compassion instead, okay? This is very annoying to me when I see injustice happening, and often people, even like a little girl in New York, for example, perfect example, little blonde girl from Poland, goes shopping, is naive, doesn't know the dangers, right? She walks through Manhattan, and the Muslims that are already hiding behind alleys and doorways, they are constantly standing there waiting for a bait, for a victim to walk past their doorway, right? So they're coming out from all kinds of catacombs. It's like they're smelling blood, and they're coming out, and they know nothing is going to happen to them. The mayor of New York is not even going to penalize them, because he's like one of them. This identification again. And they go over and they tear her clothes off. They rape her in broad daylight in public, in a public street. 10, 20 men. She has no power at all. She's completely overpowered. She's screaming for help. No one helps. And then the gawkers come with their mobile phones, and they film it, and they think, oh, that gets them views. And no one calls the police. And then when someone does call when a kind-hearted, good Samaritan happens to be in that street and walks by there and sees in shock what's happening, and she calls the police, then it turned out that the person working in that police department is a Somali refugee who was actually at that moment involved in raping that little girl. So he gets a call. That's all while he's on duty, in quotation marks. He gets the call now from the dispatcher saying there is a lady that is standing on that street corner, and so he knows exactly where she is, and she saw this rape. The dispatch doesn't know he is doing the raping, and he's real annoyed that he's being interrupted while raping the little girl. So he goes over to the lady who called the police and shoots her dead. Okay. That is what happens when you bring in Muslim refugees, okay? And this is obviously not just one story. It is one out of, I don't know, millions worldwide, millions of stories, horror stories like that. They won't even talk about the horror stories that are done to animals. They won't even mention that on the news. Okay, so that's what's going on. But I see it because I do animal rights. I read the story, I sign the petitions. So that's how I know. And for every child that is raped on the street, there are 100 puppy dogs raped and tortured to death. So that's the reality of it. Just putting the facts out there, people need to know. Okay, so before you latch onto either political agenda, political party, political think first. Okay, think this through really good and get informed from different sources also. Because when you latch on to a specific group or society, you're causing harm to the world and you don't even know it. You will cause the least amount of harm, and you will also help animals and children if you stand alone and think for yourself. If you stand outside the masses of people, outside all of these groups that are out there, that are or cults or religions, if you stand outside of that, then you have the capacity to actually save a dog and a child and other living beings. That's the truth. I'm giving you the truth here. This is the total truth. You have to stand outside and you have to stand alone. So Jiddu Krishnamurti and Dr. David Bohm talked about this for 60 years in their public discussions that were video recorded in different places on planet Earth, in Ojai, in Brockwood Park, England, and in South India, where he had his foundations, and also in Gstaad, Switzerland, there's a foundation. And so they would always travel to these different places, and they had groups of people there that were helping them and that were also on the same page in getting people informed about true meditation, vipassana, and mindfulness, and really inwardness, and learning to stand alone. And they were helping, they were making the world a better place. So thank you infinitely much to all of these people that helped Jiddu Krishnamurti, his foundations, and the conversations with David Bohm and other people as well that he talked to. And the subject was always about the herd mentality, about the danger of herd mentality, the danger of people identifying themselves with a religion or with any kind of think group, any kind of partial group, any kind of biased group, political society, okay, left versus right. It's always, I see it on X, most people are either extremely this way or extremely the other way. And they don't even realize they are. Okay, it's very sad for me to see also Cat Turd, for example, who, I mean, he's my age. I think he's 61, right? This is the same age as I am. And he should be wiser. No, I know he's a good person. He's absolutely a good person. He loves dogs, and he's for the well-being of dogs. But I'm sure he's fat and eats a lot of meat. So I've seen him a few times. I've seen a photo and a video clip. He doesn't show himself usually. But he's fat, and he's a meat eater, and he doesn't draw the connection. Okay, if he loves animals, then he should not be eating meat. Okay, so that's just one out of many examples. So I'm glad he sticks to Donald Trump, because we should stick to Donald Trump no matter what. But I don't know if he's sticking to Donald Trump for the right reasons, though. That I'm not so sure, but most extreme right wingers probably don't even think this through in depth, okay? So, but many of them see, obviously, they see that Donald Trump is an amazing person, and they would never turn on him, no matter what. And I would never, because I see Donald Trump as an amazing person. And Donald Trump is not about right versus left. Donald Trump is not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He is not a green person, not a peace and freedom, although he has elements of all. But he's above all of that. He thinks for himself. He's a genius. In many ways, okay? He's a genius. He sees through things, okay? He sees who is who. He sees right away who he can trust and who he can't trust. Okay, that's very important, particularly if you're an entrepreneur or if you're in real estate. You have to really know people well, or you get ripped off and shystered out of all of your money. So Donald Trump is very clear that the majority of people have their price, just like Rockefeller. Then he got hate messages for saying that. How dare you say that people are inherently good? No, they are not. They are shysters, okay? And that's the truth. Okay, don't kid yourself about this. Okay, why do you think you have to have 10 forms to make your client to fill out all of these forms when you're dealing in real estate, when you're a real estate broker and you're establishing a work relationship with a client, and when you're selling that person a property, or when you're buying a property for that person. Why do you think that is? All these forms, why do you think they're forms over forms over forms over forms, which then also gets exploited, of course, by the shysters again. But the good people have to use these forms too. Why? They have to protect themselves. Why? Because most people cannot be trusted. That's a fact, okay? So let's not be in a complete delusion about this. These are all facts. It's sad, all of that, but it's true, obviously. If you're a business person, you have to back yourself up multiple times. If you are a politician, you have to have 10 bodyguards, okay? Elon Musk has to have, I don't know how many bodyguards. 20 bodyguards, okay? They're working in night and day shifts. Or he wouldn't make it very far. I don't even want to think about it, okay? So I would give my life to save all of them. I would give my life to save Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and Ingrid Newkirk, and Captain Paul Watson, and Wayne Purcell. Okay, I would give my life to save these people, because those people have proven to us that they are infinitely compassionate, and they live for serving the animals and justice, okay, and all of us. And that's a fact, okay? There are very few people. Those are, the Blue God agrees, 4-4, okay? So this is the truth. Those people are very rare. The ones that are advanced souls, and the ones that constantly think about helping, that constantly think about this or that situation, and how can we turn this situation into helping the greater good, okay? While on the other hand, on the other spectrum end, The shyster only thinks about how can I turn this, maybe even good situation in the beginning, how can I turn that into a profit maximization for myself? Okay, so that's how the shyster thinks. That's how the parasitic entity thinks. And then there are all kinds of people in between, of course, but Rockefeller is right. Most people, when they're given some kind of incentive, they will take that incentive, even if that incentive hurts others down the line. But these people, most people don't know how it hurts others down the line. For example, a father from Mexico is offered $100,000. That's for a poor man coming across the border into California, for example. Okay, for him that's a lot of money, and he thinks about it a whole lot, but he has to give away his 14-year-old daughter, beautiful daughter. And this is not one situation, and this is not just a movie script. This is a reality. This is happening in massive amounts. So he sees the money and he says, oh, well, he starts to justify, oh, well, I can give them my daughter to, she'll be okay, yeah. No, she will be organ extracted and bled to death. And then when he finds out she was bled to death, which is his fault, okay, to begin with, then he will go after the surgeon that cut her organ out and put it into a person who paid him a whole bunch of money for it. That's a reality, okay? So, but the Mexican father is real mad, blames it all on the organ cartel people and the surgeon. Yes, they are to be blamed. But wait, he forgot to blame himself, because it happened because of his decision to sell the daughter into that trafficking ring in the first place. Okay, so I hope this makes it crystal clear now. All of these things need to be discussed. All of these things need to be talked about. And if I don't talk about it, who is going to talk about it? Who is going to point all of this uncomfortable stuff out to the public? These very uncomfortable truths. Inconvenient truths, right? Inconvenient. I go into myself. When Paul tells me something that is really true about me and my own warped way of thinking, I'm often angry and very grudgy, but grudgingly, I have to say, well, with this one thing, you're right. I'm sorry. I have to work on this. Okay, so I was wrong with this. I was wrong with this. I was wrong with that, and I'm probably wrong with many things. And it's all a learning process. Living is a learning process. And I was probably too quick to blame this person or that person, or say, or I'm grudgingly agreeing with Paul. I was unfair to my mother, blaming my mother for my childhood trauma. Or what good does that do? I'm speaking from experience here, okay? First-hand experience. So this is my message to every young person out there. Yes, if your parents have mistreated you out of their own neurosis, out of their own mental illness, out of their own ego also, out of many horrible things, greed even, okay? You are right, this is a horror, and I'm here for you, okay? At the same time, if you go into an anger mode and you live the rest of your life in a grudge with that, then that's a wrong decision. To live like this and keep on blaming your parents, whether you're actually still talking to them or you're not talking to them. Either way, if you keep on blaming the parents, and I'm not saying to forgive them, I'm against forgiveness. You don't forgive some horror shit, okay? You just don't. You have to walk away and not go back, okay? But, weigh it off a situation. Maybe your parent will crawl over to you in 50 years later and say, "Oh man, this is weighing on me. I am so sorry." Okay. Then you can maybe talk to that person and say, "Yeah, I've hold a grudge against you and I don't forgive you, but I'm sorry that you are suffering under this. And I still care about you. I can't be friends with you, and I never gonna forgive you. But I can say, I wish you well. I wish you healing. Okay. I can give you some advice on where to go. And you need to talk it out. You need to cry it out. This is very important. This is still my dad or my mother or my brother or sister, right? So I give you this advice. Move on. Help yourself with this. Don't come to me. I'm the wrong address here, okay? You did this to me, and I'm not sitting on the grudge anymore. I am not angry anymore, but I have no use for someone who has done something like this or who could potentially do something like this again. Often behavior patterns in social environments don't shift, they don't heal, they don't evolve. Okay, so you have to save yourself and you have to move on. That is my message for the kids. Me staying still, I moved halfway around the globe, but me staying still in contact with my mother and talking to her for 3 and 4 hours straight on Skype, that obviously did not help me at all. That's basically the same as still living with her in the same house, right? And maybe a little better because then there is less friction and all of that, because I only get to talk to her like once a week on Skype, and I'm not getting mad at her for cooking meat or something like this. I'm not looking over her shoulder in that moment. I don't see what else she's doing, but I can only go by what she's telling me, and that was already enough stuff to scrutinize her for. But me staying in contact with her, that's my decision, and that was a wrong decision, okay? I should not have done it. I made her life hell. She often had to lie down after a conversation with the daughter from hell, with Medusa, okay? So, and that made me feel terribly bad, that I made her so exhausted. I made her feel so bad, and she's already feeling bad about herself, but wants to deny it. She wants to suppress that, but that doesn't help her. But I'm not helping her by rubbing it in and telling her, "Oh, look how bad you were," and all of that. That's not going to save her life. That's just going to make her withdraw more into her act outs than ever coming clean about the stuff that she's done wrong and saying, "Yeah, I did that wrong." No, she'll never admit that to herself. Then she flees into a denial then, okay? So I'm the anti-therapist in that moment. I'm not helping her. And we as children, if we care, if we have compassion, we want our parents to go on the healing path. But we are not going to be the right candidate to be their therapist, obviously, because just too much trauma and too much has happened between these two people, okay? Back and forth trauma. I traumatize her too, you know. I'm I'm a rebellious punk and I traumatize her by running off with a boyfriend, and or I make her look bad in the public. I run off during after a Christmas meeting and drink myself into oblivion. These kind of things, okay, out of ignorance, okay, not because I wanted to hurt my parents, not because I wanted to make my parents feel like I didn't experience gratitude during the Christmas day and the presents and the cake and the good conversations and all of that, you know, that made them feel like I don't appreciate any of that. I'm just going into a bar and drinking myself under the table or under the bar and kissing people and people that I have known. I don't even want to say it, people that my grandfather knows and other prominent type of people, and they're drinking themselves into oblivion, and I end up smooching for hours with some lady that recognized me from my grandfather or my aunt and my uncle, and all of those people are very, very, very much into prestige and having the right, yeah, having just the right image to the public and all of that. And then I drink and that lady drinks and we're just completely cracking down their code of honor and all of that. So, but all out of ignorance, you know. So I will smooch anyone who wants to smooch, you know. I'm not gay at all. Nothing. I didn't go home with her or anything. It's just like, oh, a lady likes me, or it would be anyone who likes me, and if they want to hug and kiss, then I will do that like a puppy dog, you know. So uh, when I drink, the puppy dog comes out like 100%. So my brother called it the animal. So there's nothing wrong with showing your animalistic side, right? We are animals. We all are animals. And my brother is an animal too, okay? He just doesn't realize it, but whatever. He's much, he's, I don't know what to call him anymore. He's an unconscious monster. That's what he is. So, Sam Altman is consciously aware of being a monster. I mean, he must be, right? But anyway, whatever. There are varying degrees between these psychopaths, but what use does that have to put them like the winner of psychopaths, right? Who will that be? Bill Gates. Yeah, he won the cake. He gets the. Let's throw the cake in his face. You are the winner of all psychopaths. It doesn't matter. So varying degrees of, I mean, what Rockefeller was talking about. And Rockefeller himself, you know, he spoke from experience, first-hand experience, because he was one of them, obviously, must have been. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure he was. Usually when we denounce someone, we got some of that in us as well. Something that, you know, some habit or some way of thinking or reacting that we don't like, but we like to pawn it off on the other people. We see it then in other people before we see it in ourselves. But that doesn't mean we don't have the right to see it in other people, okay? So don't drink the kid with the bathwater, okay? So sort these things out. Sort it out. I don't even want to get into the literal examples of that. And they are out there too. I mean, the shit that's out there is so unimaginably bad and horrific. I don't even want to think about it. So, but the video is getting very long, so I think I discussed some points that I thought were very, very, very important to point out and to make people aware of. So the path forward is don't take a side. And when you see injustice, when you see horror, recognize it for what it is. Don't stand there because the rapist is one of your fogies, right? No, don't do that. That's a bad mistake. Step out of this groupthink and say, yeah, if you are a Muslim and that Muslim, you see a Muslim raping a girl, you have to recognize that what this person is doing is horror and it has to end. Call the police, turn him in, doesn't matter if he's your friend, brother, colleague, whatever, whoever, colleague of the same religion, it doesn't matter. When you see horror, call them out, blow the whistle on everything that is done, all the human trafficking, blow the whistle on all of these people. Call the police, call the FBI, but before you do this, before you call the police is corrupted, is bribed. Before you do that, you have to blow the whistle as wide as possible. You have to go to a news broadcaster who is willing to broadcast this. You have to share it with as many people as possible, because the more people you share it with, that's a dead man's switch. The least likely they're going to kill you, because the word has already been traveling, and the wider it has traveled, the least likely they are going to kill you, to silence you, because you have already spoken, you have already shared the information. Do it, share it, speak out. It doesn't matter if that's your political party, your political affiliation, your group, your family, your parents, your brother, your religious congregation. It doesn't matter, okay? Speak out when you see incredibly horrific things. Speak out. You know it's wrong. You know it's not just morally wrong, it's ethically wrong. It's a horror, it's an atrocity. Beings are suffering. Blow the whistle and help these beings. Help all living beings. Peace and love.